Hey everybody, welcome to the MXGP of Qatar, round one of the FIA Motocross World Championship 2014. And you know what? In the most unlikeliest of places, in the middle of the desert, a few thousand miles from Europe, it is raining here. It just started raining about 5 minutes ago, just before the start of our studio show here this evening. But hopefully it will pass. It's been trying to rain for the last hour or so. So hopefully that'll pass and we won't get too wet. So we will just kick straight off with the show. And with me, Paul Malin, as always, we've got Valentin Guillod, the 2013 European 250 motocross champion, Adam Wheeler from On Track Off Road, and shortly we hope to be joined by Shaun Simpson from HM Plant KTM UK. So before we get any wetter, I'm going to welcome you guys here. Valentin Guillod, of course, welcome to Qatar. The first time for you, because you didn't race here last year because you were competing in the European Championship. Apart from this brief rain shower, what are your first impressions of Qatar so far? The country and then the track.
Yeah, so hi everybody. So yeah, I was thinking in desert it's never raining, so we have rain, so okay. No, it's okay. I think it's a little bit shower, but it will be good. Yeah, first time in Qatar for me. Yeah, very impressed about the building and everything. It's crazy, but yeah, it's nice. The night is very nice with the light and everything. It's very cool.
Yeah, because your first practice was not quite dark, a little bit daylight almost, and then the second time training was dark now. So
yeah, for sure. And they make a great job with the light because we see very good. It's like in today with the sun, so it's very nice.
Okay, and obviously since winning the European Championship last year in 250, you switched teams, standing construct KTM now, and of course back into MX2. You were there in 2012, decided to go back into the European Championship. You won, you were successful, won a lot of rounds as well, 5 or 4 I think. So
5. Yeah,
and obviously now coming back into MX2, are you nervous, a little bit excited, bit of both maybe?
Yeah, for sure. It's the first GP. Yeah, first practice was not so good for me. I was not pushing enough. Second time practice, I pushed too much, so I didn't find a good feeling because the track is slippery someplace, soft. You have grip, you don't have grip, so it's difficult to find a good feeling. But I think it will be better and better.
How would you describe it? Is it kind of sandy or hard pack? Or
no, it's some hard pack, and the bump are very hard. Some place
and square,
yeah. But yeah, I think also for the race it will be better. But because the line will come, the track will come a bit more large. So I think it will be good.
How does that then affect the setup of the bike? Obviously, you may have watched the GP from last year to get some idea of the circuit, and what you saw then and riding it now, I guess, is completely different. Maybe harder than you thought. Maybe not as much traction as you thought.
Yeah, and that's I said before. It's difficult to find the good feeling because sometimes I'm almost going down. So on back of the bike.
Yeah.
Because you have traction, and when you are in the corner, sometimes it's slippery. The bike is moving.
The first corner is slippery. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're coming fast in the corner, so. Yeah, it's difficult to find a good feeling.
What about the team, standing construct KTM? Obviously, you were a privateer last year, Guillod Motorsport Racing. This year now with the major team, they have good support from KTM, I think, after the results from Koldenhoff last year in MX2.
Yeah, we have a very good material. I'm very happy to be in this team because the team are next to me. When I ask something, they make everything for it, so it's very nice to have some people like that next to me. I think we have one of the best bike of the MX2. It's working very good, and also I'm still training with Yves de Maria in south of France. So we did a great job this winter. We work hard, but. Yeah, now it's racing, and racing sometimes you have a bit stress, you are nervous, so yeah. We are in the first GP, so
Adam.
I know you've only done 2 practice sessions here, but what kind of your expectations for tomorrow? What will you be happy with? Can you think about a top 10 or better or worse? What kind of is your goal?
Yeah, for sure. 2 times in the top 10, it will be very nice because I think if I finish 2 times in the top 10, I'm maybe like 7, 8 place of the overall. So yeah, if I do 2 times, my goal is to make 2 times in the top 10.
How old are you now?
21.
Okay, so visibly you've got 2 more seasons in MX2. So
Yeah, I'm born in December, so
Right at the end, so yeah.
yeah, 18 December, so I still have 2 years. No, I think we will take GP per GP, and yeah, it will come good.
In terms of the competition, obviously last year you were so used to winning, and then coming back into MX2, did you, or do you have a level where you expect to be before the start of the season, before you came here to Qatar? In your mind, do you think, actually, I should be finishing in the top 10, or I should be between 5 and 10, or is there some place that you and Yves de Maurier, former 3-time world champion, of course, is there something that you've decided that you should be working? What is the goal for you?
Yeah, my goal is to finish in top 5 at the end of the championship. This winter we were riding on some track. We saw some rider MX2, they finished in top 5, and I was faster. But like I said before, we are now at the race. Yeah, I'm not 100% because I'm a bit stressed. I don't ride like at practice. But yeah, I think if I'm taking lap per lap, and it will come good.
But also, if you think of MX2, it's very much a category in transition, isn't it? Because this year, you've got a lot of older riders. It's going to be tough competition. But if you think about 2015, you've maybe got 9 of the first 10 riders that finished the championship last year having to move out into MX1, or into MXGP, sorry, into another place. So 2015, if you're one of the top runners in MX2, then you're in a good position, aren't you?
Yeah, I think, but I'm not thinking 2015 now. I'm thinking 2014. I think, yeah, we are first GP. We will take GP per GP, and yeah, I think if at the end of the championship in the top 5 next year, we will have a better goal.
And obviously you're spending time training with Yves de Maurier during the winter. What kind of things were you doing? What did you work on that you thought, okay, to go to the next level in MX2, to be successful, to be competitive? Was it more fitness or more speed in the corners, or what was the game plan to work on?
No, I think, the first thing is to be good physically. If you are good physically, you are coming faster with the bike, so you're working better physically. So you go all time like that. When you're good physically, you go faster. When you go faster, you need more physically. So yeah, it's going like that. Yeah, we train a lot, cycling, road bike, running, and riding with the bike.
And Yves joins you on the road bike, does he?
Yeah, for sure. Yves is very strong. He's still very strong on the road bike. Also on the bike, when he takes the bike, not so many time, but he can still ride very good.
Yeah, and I was just thinking then in terms of, in fact, I've just completely lost my train of thought. No, because instead of the training, I was going to ask you.
Well, actually, there was something I wanted to ask, Paul,
yeah.
Because you were touching on the training, and this year is 18 Grand Prix. That's the longest calendar maybe you've ever had, isn't it? I mean, it's certainly double what you had last year for European races.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you really had to look, at a long season, at 6 months, really, of racing.
Yeah, for sure. That's also something. If you're coming to first GP at 100%, maybe at the 5 or 6 GP, you will go a bit down. So, I think now it's maybe I'm not 100%. Because it was a very short time this winter. I make a bit supercross, some race, but yeah, it was just 3 months to make it ready, 3-4 months, so it was a bit short. But the season is long, so yeah, I think I will be ready for the whole season.
I know what I was going to say. Your time, you said in time training you weren't happy with it. Down in 14th, about 3 seconds off the pace of Jeffrey, which puts you about 2 seconds slower than everybody else. Last year in the European races, how was your pace different to the rest of the field? Ignore Jeffrey for a moment. You know, and is it still about the same, or?
No, last year it was a bit like 8, 10 place with my lap, but the problem it's motocross. You ride the first lap, and the last lap the track is completely different. So after the next category, next class, it's complete different.
Yeah.
So
bit of a windstorm here, folks. And the other thing as well, are you more of a qualifier, or do you prefer the intensity of the race? You know, because some people can't do the qualifying, and it's time training here, not a you know, well, it's pre-qualifying anyway, isn't it? It's time training. It's just they've changed the name, but not everybody likes to go fast for 1 lap or 2 laps and then stop. Yeah,
that's a bit my problem. You know, I'm a bit like diesel. You know, I going a bit slowly. I want to be very clear on the track. Don't want to push too much to be in kicking sideways every corner. So yeah, I think for the race it will be better than for the time practice.
Okay. Well, I think that about wraps it up with Valentin Guillod, the standing construct KTM rider from MX2. Obviously, we wish him all the best this weekend in his first Qatari Grand Prix. Hopefully he gets somewhere inside the top 10 like he's aiming for, and continues with that success during the rest of the season. So Valentin, thanks a lot, and enjoy your weekend, and also the Thai Grand Prix. In fact, Thailand next week, you weren't there either last year. It's going to be 38 degrees and really humid. How are you with the heat?
So I'm living in south of France, so the summer it's also very, very hot, but we don't have humidity, so that will be, I think, the most of the problem. Also for the hand.
Blisters.
The blisters. We will see, but I know the track is very nice. So yeah, I think we're gonna make already first GP in Qatar. Make 2 good race and going to Thailand.
Okay, well, we wish you all the best, not just here, but also in Qatar in a week's time. Valentin Guillod. Right, I'm going to bring in Adam Wheeler from ontrackoffroad.com. So, Adam, again, like you, welcome to Qatar and these flyaway races. Good to see you here.
Paul. Thank you. I want to turn it on you first before you ask me any questions. Like, you know, you picked on Valentin there as like a Swiss.
What have I ever done to you?
Right. So as a Brit, how did you handle, like, you know, 40-degree temperatures and humidity and stuff like that? Were you any good, or was it buckling?
Actually, you know, there were a couple of GPs I remember that we did have big humidity. Indonesia was one of them. And actually, I preferred those kind of conditions because it also made the circuit, you know, very, it added another technical element to it. It's not just about riding the track, but pacing yourself, when to push, when not to push. And of course, when you make those mistakes out on the track, those silly little things where it can be a concentration breaker. You know, it's how quick can you get your memory back, and how quick can you get back on the pace without it flustering you. You know, talk about Germany last year with the Honda boys, Max and Bobby. Yeah, they struggled with the heat, and they were mentally beat before they even went to the start line. You know, they had a plan B. If we get too hot in race 2, you know, we need to be a bucket of water, and that's it.
So bucket of water.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, those races like in Indonesia and like Thailand next week, do you think it's kind of true to cliche where it's one of those that separate the people that have done their work? You know, somebody who comes in thinking I'm fitter than ever, I'm stronger than ever, and then maybe sees like 3 or 4 or 5 other guys who are just that little, you know, level above. I know it's only round 2, so that's another factor. Not everyone's like full steam ahead, but you know, the heat's another separating thing, is it? It's not just technical ability; it's the whole physical package.
Exactly, you know, but it's riding the heat and doing well in the heat is almost like riding in the sand. You know, some people prefer certain conditions. So Valentin said he comes from the south of France, but they don't have the humidity element. And you add that, and it is a completely different thing. I remember getting off the plane last year in Bangkok when we arrived, and you could feel it immediately. Yeah. And that was at 6:30 in the morning, you know, the night flight, the Red Eye Express, and, you know, and that was it. But let's talk back about the Qatar Grand Prix here. You were here last year.
Yep.
12 months on, almost to the day. And what are your impressions now? Because the track is the same in terms of the layout and the obstacles that are on the track, but the light.
Yeah, it's not too much of an exaggeration to say I'm flabbergasted. It's, you know, it's maybe 32 permanent poles, where we had like 3 or 4, I think, last year.
I think 9 last year, and then 31, 32,
okay.
I think.
But then we had like temporary lights on, you know, generators, and you had much lower lights, you know, at the level that these guys were taking off. I mean, I think it was a little bit more sketchy last year as well. The light was patchy in some parts of the course, so I think, you know, the efforts have been doubled. I think, you know, the QMF mentioned yesterday in the press conference, and it's fantastic. It's how perhaps it should have been last year, but then for a first Grand Prix, you expect a few rough edges. So now it's a fantastic racing course. You know, it is challenging. You know, I think the guys will get faster and a little bit braver. You know, we've been looking at that quad just before the finish line, and, you know, people will be picking that out tomorrow in the races, the motos themselves, and I think, you know, we'll see more people going for that and making a difference there on the lap times.
So obviously what you've seen now in terms of MX2 and MXGP, the newly rebranded. In fact, let's talk about MXGP first. A lot of changes, not just to you know, the calendar at the moment in terms of 1 or 2 races, unsure about where we're going, Ukraine of course for instance, but MXGP, not MX1.
Yep. 30-minute motos. 30
minutes, not 35 plus 2, so there's a difference there. That should favour the sprinters maybe, but, you know, next week it'll still sort the men out from the boys.
Yeah.
But in terms of favourites, we kind of spoke about it a little bit earlier on in the day, didn't we? You look down the list of the guys that finished top 6, top 7 last year, and 5 of those are carrying niggling injuries, including the world champion, Tony Cairoli.
Well, it was 6 from 8 that you picked up, or there were people that are either carrying injuries or they're coming back from a winter of injury. So it's that's why we're saying perhaps, you know, maybe this weekend, with it being first race, with it being the nerves, with there being that whole unpredictable factor, we could see a bit of a shock winner involved. You know.
But what about? But I say, you know, we look at. I mean, obviously the top 7 guys, Cairoli, De Salle, Ken de Dijk are not here. Strybos, pelvis injury, but riding bravely through the pain barrier. Gauthier Paulin, we're not sure his mental state coming into this after the concussion. Of course, he raced the Nations. He's been riding through the winter since as well. But, you know, Jeremy Van Horbeek, Tommy Searle, they're guys that could potentially put themselves in the shop window in terms of getting on the podium and being podium spoilers this weekend.
And the man next to me as well.
And of course Shaun Simpson, who we're now going to introduce, HM Plant KTM UK rider. Shaun Simpson back with the family, of course, where you got so much sort of initial success that led you to a Red Bull KTM ride back in MX2 a few years back. But first of all, welcome to Qatar. How was the track? Obviously you were here last year, obviously on a Yamaha last year in the beginning, or TM in the beginning I think, and then obviously now on a KTM. Much difference in the performances of the bikes or the nature of the ground, and obviously we've got it's a little bit more brighter out there, which the organisers last year promised there would be better lights, and we've just been talking about that a moment ago, visibly better than last year. How is it as a rider though, because obviously you're getting a perspective that we're not able to appreciate?
Yeah, well, obviously it's nice to be back here in Qatar. I mean, I got on good here last year. I think I finished 8th and 14th, something like that. So came out of here 10th in the championship, and as you were saying, the track is much lighter this year. The permanent lights seem to be doing a much better job in a lot, you know, nicer areas. You know, I didn't really feel there was any issue last year. Once you get the helmet and the goggles on and the gate drops, I just got after it. So it was good. I mean, you know, a bit better light. Anyone's going to be happier with that. So just the track's different this year. There's a lot of the jump faces starting to crumble a little bit. There's quite a lot of dust coming through, surprisingly, and
so drier than you thought.
Yeah, and a lot of the sections are getting real, you know, square edge bumps with the dirt.
And Valentin Guillod mentioned as well, there's a bit inconsistent. Like some places were soft, some were hard, and you know, Jake Nichols as well said the jump faces are actually a bit steeper. It seems to be.
Yeah,
there are little changes.
Yeah, exactly, and they've made a couple of sections where you can do jumps that you couldn't do last year. Like after the finish here, we've got a double into the turn. Personally, I think it would be better if there was just a straight there and a load of bumps, you know, because everyone can just do that jump and then turn tight and then, you know, just kind of a little bit follow the leader. But it's roughing up more than I actually thought it was going to. Something I don't agree with is the 20-minute sessions that we've got now. I mean, you know, I'm just getting warmed up and the finish flag's out, so It'd be nicer if we had 2:30s.
Was it 30 last year or 40 for free practice and time trainings?
It was, well, when I started
40.
it was 40, and then it went down to 35. Last year was 30, and now they've decided to go for 20. I don't know if that's just here or the whole series. We'll soon find out. But you know, as a rider that takes a little bit of, you know, time to get going and likes it when it's rough, you know, I don't think that's going to suit me as well, especially trying to get a lap time in there. Like, I was just building up laps. I done one and then another, and my last one was quite good. Yeah. Just as I felt like I could attack on like a really good lap. You know, the finish flag was out and finished 10th, so not bad. I mean, my KTM's really good. I'm really happy with it. The suspension didn't take a lot of work to get that good, because, you know, we had it pretty sussed on the Yamaha last year. Pretty much put base setting straight into the KTM, and, you know, just went from there. And our engine tuner John Vollenberg done a great job with the engine. So, you know, torque, mid-range, top end. Off the start, I'm looking for a couple of hole shots.
I mean, you can see your confidence out there. I mean, it's only been 2 sessions, but you were throwing it around like it was a 250. It's kind of like watching you back in sort of 2009. You know, that kind of sort of flurry of confidence and aggression, and, you know, it's kind of like you're back. I mean, does any of you were the last winner of, you know, the Grand Prix last year, does any of that kind of, you know, coming back out onto the Grand Prix track, does any of that come back? You know, do you remember it or play off it, or do you kind of think, do you get any of the sensation back and it helps you a little bit in a weird way?
Yeah, of course you do. I mean, like, coming back out there, you know, having had that success at the end of last year, you know, you felt like, wow, you know, I beat them guys last year, I can do it again. So, you know, I wasn't so psyched out this year, whereas last year coming in, I was kind of like coming off the bad end of the year before, and nothing was really going that right, and I thought, well, you know, try and pick up and do the best I can. Whereas now I'm like, well, I know I can beat them guys, I know it's on a totally different circuit, but you just sort of get over that mentally and then just go for it. But as you say, I surprised myself there. I was getting a bit loose on a few of the jumps. I was quite enjoying it.
Even attempting a scrub.
Yeah, I hope a few of the photographers got some nice pictures, because it's unlike myself to be throwing it around like that. But as you say, just from sometimes as a rider, maybe Paul will know himself, you go out on a track and you know within 3 or 4 corners if you're going to actually enjoy it, and you're like, oh, this is going to be good, and then it's just like, oh, it's just this easy, flows well. And other weeks it's like, oh, you know already, it's like, oh, I'm not going to enjoy this so much, and you got to power through it. But you know, from earlier on today, you know, I really enjoyed it, and I'm just looking forward to the race.
But can that change? Sorry, Paul. Can that change like tomorrow? I mean, it's been raining for what, a good 15 minutes.
It's not even real rain, though.
Is that the rain allocation for the year, perhaps? Does come down?
Well, you read all the stats, and it gives, I don't know, it might rain 3 times a year and less than a millimetre a year. And obviously, I think we've had less than that tonight. Yeah. So if that's all we get for the weekend, then I'm happy. But you were just talking a moment ago, Shaun, about finding your groove and being relaxed and finding your flow. Well, obviously, back end of last year, the final MX1 Grand Prix of 2013, Shaun Simpson went down in history as the last ever MX1 Grand Prix winner before we entered 2014 and the new era of MX Grand Prix. And we have footage of you at Lierop, and when that starts to come up on the screen, I wonder if you can just explain a little bit about the race weekend itself.
Okay.
You know, it might just take a little time to queue up, but, you know, in terms of the actual race weekend itself, it was not yet. No. In terms of the actual race weekend itself, here we go. We'd had a lot of rain on the Saturday night, and the track was very heavy, but you were the only one that just seemed to get your head down. Just talk us through. This was, I think, Strybos passing for the lead on about lap 2 or 3, and then a couple of laps later you took the second place here. So talk us through.
Well, at the start, you know, I didn't get such a great start, although I was still in the top 3, and Strybos and Bobryshev, they were going for it, and I said to myself in my helmet, I literally said it out loud, I said, there's no way I'm going at that speed. So I started doing my own little thing, and next thing you know, like, I've passed Strybos there for the lead, and
final lap.
Then Tony came up, 2 laps to go, and then he went down, and then I just said to myself, you know, I can do this, and come over the line. And
at that moment there,
even Paulin was like, Simpson, just what the hell's going on?
I think there were a lot of people even going, Simpson, what was going on there, you know? And then the second race, you just win the first race. The pressure is off in terms of you won your first MX1 Grand Prix race win. Yeah. But you go into the second race. What was your train of thought at that point in terms of, I could be on for the overall, or was it just, you know, what were your thoughts?
My thoughts really were just like, I was in a bit of a whirlwind. I knew my speed was okay. I managed to win the first race. There was all emotions were everywhere. The second one was just to go out and just, you know, try and do the same if I could. I wasn't thinking about the overall. Obviously, I did think about it, but was trying not to think about it. And then just sort of ride a solid race. I got off to a great start, past Tony on the inside of the first corner. I thought, geez, this is easy.
Yeah.
You know, and then just 2 corners later, I binned it.
Yeah.
And done a soil sample, got up in 8th, and I thought, I've blown it. You know, I've just blown it. But, you know, stupidly, I know more than anyone, you know, that in the sand, you can come back from way back, like Herlings can come back in 3 or 4 laps to be in the lead from being off at the start. So after a few laps, I was up to 2nd. Tony had checked out, and you know, I rode pretty tight and hard to get back up to 2nd, and you know, maybe just tired myself out a little bit, pushed too soon, and you know, that's what worked for me in the first race. Sort of calmed it down and just had a pace that I could last to the end.
Well, Didyka was closing as well in the last few laps, and he made a couple of mistakes.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he was getting pitboard signals saying you need to pass for Cairoli to win, you know, to help the team out.
Yeah. Well, little did I know at that point what was all going on, but even if I watch it back now, occasionally I watch it back, you know, family dinners and stuff like that.
Christmas? What did you do Christmas Eve? What did you do Christmas Day, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day?
Here's the photo album. Oh, and here's Shaun's DVD.
Yeah. Oh, we have a memory stick here of this is what I was doing in September.
Yeah, but I was like, you know, even now watching it back, you think, how did I stay so cool? I know, just who knows how I even knew that weekend was going to be good. Like I said before the race, I think it's going to be something special. And the amount of people that said to me, like, did you know you were going to be well? And I was just like, no, I just must have just came out. I just felt it, you know. So, you know, I'm looking forward to this year. I think I can bring some of that confidence, as we said, into this year and feel like I'm sort of back there. I know there's 10, 12, 15 guys that are good in MX1, but I really feel like I'm one of the top 6, top 8, and I do feel like I could be running there every week inside the top 10. And the main thing I've been saying to everyone that my goal for this year is just get consistency back into my riding. You know, I've been up and down for the last few years, mechanicals and all sorts, so just looking to get back at it and, you know, get some solid points on the board every week.
And like you said, you know, at the time of Lear Up, it says a lot for if you get a setup that you like, you know, a simple kind of operation around you that gives you confidence and allows you just to go and express yourself. I mean, that's almost what you had in 2008 when you made the breakthrough in the team that you are again with now. So, you know, all the signs are good, you know.
I said to someone earlier today, you know, as professional as our sport is getting, you know, all we want to do is load our bikes in the van, come to a race and ride our bikes around the track, you know, and have fun. And essentially, I've lost that for the last 4 years. And, you know, I just looked at our setup here. It's maybe not the flashiest setup, but we've got the tools to do the job. And I just said to someone, look, this is all you need to come and ride. You know, like coming to Lear Up, I packed my race bike in my own camper myself with my dad and unloaded it and then, you know, managed to do the business. So it's not all about the razzmatazz.
But it's interesting you say that, the last 4 years. So what do you think was part of the problem then the last 4 years? The teams you're riding for, or just putting more pressure on yourself, you know?
No, I think a combination of things, obviously. You know, my dad being pushed to the side a little bit was, you know, an issue that everyone's had, whether it was KTM or even...
I had it.
You know, but, you know what I mean? It's like, some people it works for them and some people it doesn't, and for me it does work. And, you know, I've been saying for ages, you know, listen to this guy, he's got something to give to how I ride, to the bike, to the setup, you know, to how I work. No one wanted to take it on board, and it took us to get 2 bikes from Yamaha last year and run out of the JK setup with doing, you know, minimal stuff to it, to come out and actually find confidence in myself again and basically just say to everyone, look, you should have maybe just listened to us a little bit more. I know it's maybe not the way to do it for everybody, but for me it works. And that's something that Roger McGee at HM Plant KTM UK gives me. He gives me freedom to do not what I want, but within reason. He gives us the flexibility to work with a bike, to work with the, you know, WP, whether it be, you know, any of the supporting sponsors. And, you know, we've got a great package together, and the bike's solid, you know, it's consistent. You know, we've done a lot of hours through the winter, went to Spain, and just been happy with it, really just been putting time in and feeling good in myself. So
last week you raced the Hawkstone Park International Motocross. Obviously not many people have been doing a lot of racing because of the weather in various parts of Europe and especially Great Britain. How good did it feel to get back on a bike, racing around there and pick up the MXGP overall victory after the 2 races?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I didn't really expect it, to be honest. There was a couple of good guys there. Unexpectedly, you know, not unexpectedly, but the expectations of Todd Waters, I didn't really know what he was going to be up to. Tyler obviously didn't come because of his small injury, finger. And Tommy was there, rode fast in the qualifying, and you know, he managed to pass me in the last couple of laps of the first race, but the second one I just rode solid and picked up the overall. And it felt good to be back on the bike and in some conditions that weren't too bad. I mean, the amount of rain we've had in the UK, the track was pretty much prime, so it was good to be back out there, and nice to have a couple of times with the gate falling in front of you rather than just, you know, the pit board every lap doing motos and the practice tracks. But I was actually concerned I wasn't going to get a race before here. I think there's a few guys that's turned up here without actually having a race. So, you know, later on this evening, when the gate drops, that'll be the first time in 2014 they've done a race, and I didn't really want that. I wanted to get the pre-race nerves, the arm pump, all the stuff you get in the first 2 or 3 races, the stomach cramps and all that out of the way if I could. And you know, I do feel relaxed here right now. I'm looking forward to this qualifying heat later on.
Opening the season in Qatar and Thailand and Brazil, is that okay for you? You know, you like that kind of, you know, little bit of adventure, that dynamic to the World Championship?
It might be weird me saying this because I'm an old school type of guy. I drive to all the other races, you know, don't do hotels, don't do nothing like that, you know. I actually quite enjoy these races. I mean, you know, this year I was involved with packing the crate and getting everything. Me and my dad finished packing the crate at 6 o'clock in the morning, just me and him. Yeah. So it was like, it was a team effort. And then, you know, coming out here, if it wasn't for that, you know, getting on a flight, pack your kit bag, jump on, hotel, up to the track, ride, crack on to next week, have a chill out week with everyone, and then, you know, ride in Thailand and then away back to the grind. So, you know, I quite enjoy it.
Well, look, we're out of time, so I want to thank our guest, Valentin Guillod from the Standing Construct KTM team. Of course, Shaun Simpson, HM Plant KTM UK, Adam Wheeler on track off-road, and of course, these guys are going to go and do the qualifying, and then of course we've got the main race on Saturday as well. So sit back, enjoy the races on race day, and of course we'll be covering every inch of the racetrack here in Qatar. So enjoy the race, and we'll see you tomorrow on Saturday. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.